Have you ever wondered what it takes to plan a stress-free wedding?
I'm sure a lot of people want to know.
Me too. This is why Zim Inspired, we are here today. So Zim Inspired is a luxury events and media company based right here in the West Midlands. We specialize in wedding planning, we specialize in designing, styling, photography, videography, you name it. Everything wedding planning, event planning under one roof.
How did we get here?
Is it when we met or before we met?
Of course, let's hear the backstory. I'm sure somebody is wondering, who are these people?
Of course.
Yeah.
So my name is Taffy, of course, one of the co-founders here at Zim Inspired. I've been in the hospitality industry since 2007. I graduated from Wolverhampton University, where I was studying international hospitality management and law as well. So since then, I have been in hotels, working in events, with my last post at the Hilton, where I was an events manager, which is where I picked up a lot of skills that I have of planning corporate events and special events as well. So it's something that I do quite enjoy. I had my own company under the name Eli Events Company.
Yeah. Limited. Yeah.
Limited. Yeah.
Okay.
See, because Zim Inspired now is the company that stopped when we met, and it's been a great journey.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. My name is Cosmas. I started off as a DJ over 20 years ago, 1998. And from then, I've been doing a lot of events, weddings, you name it. And when I studied animation, I then picked up photography and videography, and I switched my business from being a DJ into the media business that was called Cosmoworks. And it's been like that until I met Taffy, and then we decided, why can't we come together and create one business that's going to cover everything to do with events?
Definitely.
And this is where we are.
So today we'll be talking about or telling you about the ultimate guide to a stress-free wedding, which I'll call the Zim Inspired ultimate guide to a stress-free wedding. We've gone through a lot of events.
Of course, I'm sure there's a lot of planners out there who want to know how do they do it, or those who are aspiring to be planners as well. We're gonna try and share as much secrets from our arsenal as possible. And see how it goes. Even some people want to plan their own weddings.
Exactly.
Like you did a few years ago.
Yes.
Did it go well?
It was stressful. I had 600 people in the end, and I had planned for 300 people.
Yeah.
So you can imagine.
That was before you got into the business.
Before.
This is how you got into the business.
Yes, from 300 guests to 600 guests. Don't ask how, but yes, I needed a planner. Definitely on that one.
So before we start, we have something in the description below that you can download for free. It's a checklist, wedding checklist. If you are planning your own wedding or you want to see what we actually follow, it's free of charge. Just click and download. You can, tell us more about that.
Definitely. It will tell you how to plan, not how to plan, but it's sort of like a checklist, timeline, where you're supposed to be on what months and stuff. So it's kind of helpful, just a guide if you're a bride and you want to do it by yourself. But do go on our website www.ziminspired.com and download it for free.
Of course.
Yes.
In the meantime, follow our socials, Zim Inspired everywhere. We have a page called Backdrops by Zim Inspired, Zim Inspired Weddings, Zim Inspired Events. What else do we have?
Taffy, the wedding planner.
Taffy, the wedding planner, yes. That's it.
And we do have a page as well for Zim Inspired, which is where we post our photo shoots.
Studio photo shoots, yeah.
Yes.
Media stuff, yeah.
Because we do have a studio where we also host events right here in Warsaw. And we also do our photo shoots right here. But anyway, enough of our stuff. Let's get into it. Because obviously we all want to know how to plan a stress-free wedding.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I believe we're not going to be able to touch everything on one episode. But we'll be sharing as we go. It's a very long list that we'll be sharing.
To do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think For myself, the first one that we need to look at would be budgeting.
Yeah, I don't
that's
like
the big one.
I don't like numbers. And a lot of people now are cringing and thinking, numbers. If there's anything I just cannot stand is numbers.
Of course,
Yeah.
but this is where most of the planning is. Without the numbers, without a budget, you won't have the wedding that you want. Obviously, you have a vision, but is that vision matching up to the budget?
Yeah. So this is where the planner comes in, isn't it?
Of course.
Because I could imagine I can do my budgeting at home. I can do templates and all this. Now people are using apps and all that stuff, and it works. But I think it's kind of daunting when you're entering into the realm of wedding planning and the budget. I think one of the hardest thing is to be realistic, isn't it?
That's
to say everything I need it to fit within this budget.
Yeah. And prioritize what's important. Is it the venue? Is it the cake? Is it the dress? Whenever I'm discussing budgeting with my couples, I always mention that everything matters when it comes to a wedding. Whether it's the ring, it's your lingerie, it's the earrings, it's the cufflinks, the watch, the shoes, everything.
Everything needs to be
the budget. Yeah. You cannot have a budget and leave out your lingerie. You cannot have a budget and leave out your jewelry. You should incorporate that in that budget, because if you're saying, okay, we've got a budget of 20K, everything has to fit in that 20K, including your wedding planner.
Okay. So you then need to look into what's more important for your wedding.
Yes.
And then you focus on that.
Yes.
So if deco is the most important, then you can maybe put a chunk towards that. Okay?
Yes.
Some people like photography and the pictures themselves and the videography. They can put a large chunk into that and see how they can save on other bits.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Definitely. So it's safe. Deco is very important. Now, obviously, we're now looking at the venue itself. The venue now, you're now thinking, do you want it to be a blank canvas so you can have the deco that you want? Do you want it to have a deco field that's already there so that at least you're not then spending too much on it? So all these things, you have to put them into account when you're then budgeting for the prioritized item that you're looking at. If it's a wedding dress, how much are you looking to spend on a wedding dress? Are you looking to have 1 or 2 wedding dresses? If the wedding dress is very important to you, then you're looking at what you can trade off. Is it the venue that you're trading off? Is it the tuxedo that you're trading off?
Yeah.
Sorry, but it can come to that. Is it the food that you're trading off, or the shoes? So it's just literally listing everything from importance to less important, and then you can start your budget from there.
Wow. So what if somebody comes and says, hey, Taffy, I've got a budget of 20K, but I want my deco to look like this deco, and I want my photographer to be this person. How do you then convince that bride to consider what's more important?
So for me, what's important is, obviously, during that consultation, I'm getting to know the couple. I'm getting to know what they like, what they're like, their tastes, their feel. That way, I am then able to actually link them to the right photographer or match them to the right deco at that budget.
Okay.
And if the budget is unrealistic, then this is where we discuss these numbers. I'm sorry, but with your budget, this is what we can get for you. Obviously, you don't want to compromise on the quality, but if we have to look for some more money, then go back and look for some more money to get the deco that you're looking for. But the planner is there, because with having a planner means the planner has more connections. They know more about the vendors that they've worked with, so they can match you to the right vendor.
Would you ever recommend a bride to go and borrow money for a wedding?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't, because they've come to you as the planner. They've told you this is my budget.
It needs to work.
It needs to work. That's why you're a planner.
Right.
You make it work.
Right. So what was the most... Have you ever had a wedding where you're like, this is where they cut their budget to save, maybe for them to fit what was important to them?
Yes, definitely. we had a wedding where after the consultation, I gave them the budgeting template. We discussed all about it and everything. And for sure, what I loved about them is they sat together, they discussed, they wrote everything down. Every item was filled in and how much they were looking to spend. And the total shocked them. So for them, it was another discussion that they now had to say,
Yeah.
okay, babes, this is where we are, and we cannot be spending 40K. We've now gone over the initial budget. Where can we cut down? And for sure, they came back. Taffy, we are now cutting down on the whole wedding reception itself. We're just going to have a few drinks with family and friends. That's important to us, and then have a few pictures, and then that's it. We don't have to have 50 or 20 tables set up with luxurious flowers and
And it was a beautiful
lighting.
wedding as well at
It
the
was
end.
beautiful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
was
remember I
beautiful.
was DJing there. It was really beautiful.
They got what they wanted in the end.
Absolutely. Yes.
Close
Yes.
family and friends, and we did do a very nice backdrop for them, and their ceremony looked absolutely amazing. But this is where we are as a planner. You discuss these things, and then obviously they go back, they discuss, and then they can cut down, which is absolutely amazing. I think that's a good testimony to other brides out there and couples out there.
You don't have it
discuss
all.
the
You shouldn't
options.
have it all.
Yeah.
So what other things can a bride do to save money for their wedding?
This one, most probably, some people won't want to hear it, but it's a major cutback that a couple can look at, which is having less guests. Cut down on those guests.
My ideal wedding right there.
Of course, for you, I'm sure you can have 10, you'll be fine.
As long as it's,
But yes, every person that you're inviting to a wedding is to be accounted for.
Okay.
Whether it's in food, it's in decor, everything, you have to account for them on your budget. So if the venue that you're having is serving the food, it could be £50 a plate
Yeah.
for a person per guest. So imagine having 300 guests by 50.
So you can choose to say, I would have 300 guests and spend 30K for my wedding, or have 60 guests and spend 30K for the wedding.
I like the 61 and spending 30K. That means I can have everything that I want.
Absolutely, absolutely. How about, is there things that the bride or the groom can do to lessen the in terms of the decor itself, or you know what I mean, like DIY projects? What do you think of that?
DIY projects, I recommend them, but I would always advise the couple to speak to their planner, or if they don't have a planner, to speak to their designer or the person doing the decor, the stylist, because you don't want a situation where you're DIYing your own favors and then you've got your own little boxes that you're bringing in that are definitely they're not complementing on the table, because you want them on the table, but the decorator will be like, oh, they don't look right well on the table, so we're not going to put them. But if you're going to do it, definitely speak to your venue stylist and see that everything is matching. If it's something that they can design for you, then you run with it. But definitely that really works as well.
Yeah, we've had situations where maybe they have got a relative that can do designs.
It's always the case. There's always a relative who can DJ as well.
And then they don't come back to us and say, somebody is doing the welcome sign at X amount cheaper.
Yeah.
And then you get there now, you have everything that's just mismatched. And it's just, So I think it's also a matter of collaborating together with your stylist and seeing what actually works.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. But we're not saying not to DIY projects, because they do add your own personal touch, but definitely speak to your stylist and make sure everything is in sync to your vision and the day as well.
Of course.
Certainly. The other one will be food. Food options.
Okay.
Yeah. There's silver service or family style dining.
Okay.
So obviously silver service comes at a high cost, because you're being served at the table, and it's a set menu, or it's a 3-course menu that you've had to choose, that the guests have had to choose prior, and then they're served to the table whilst they sit down, and then a family dinner service is the buffet style, where they've got different bowls of the food served to the table where guests can serve themselves, or they queue up and go to the to buffet station.
Right.
So the family style service is another cheaper option.
I've seen some people who invite maybe the next half of their guests sometime in the evening after the food has been served.
Yeah.
That's an option as well.
That's another option. So you could literally then have everyone that you want arriving in the evening. But obviously the first part is for the really close family and friends.
Okay.
And then later on in the evening, it's usually before your first dances and other speeches are done, then your evening guests can start arriving, and then you can have the family dinner style serving. Because obviously you need to feed them as well.
Especially if it's an African wedding.
Of course, it's all about food.
There's got to be food and there's got to be music.
It's all about food in an
Forget the
African
decor.
wedding. By the time the evening guests arrive, usually the decor is covered with jackets. That's another thing. I think probably we'll talk about decor or venue styling on its own, because that's another passion of mine.
Of course.
When you're entering the room and you've paid for this luxurious decor, you want it to last the whole night. So I think we'll touch on that.
It's part of the etiquette, isn't it? Of events. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other one will be keeping track of your expenses.
Okay, keeping track of your expenses. Yeah.
So if you've got a wedding planner, they will be helping you to do that. You know how we do ourselves. We have regular meetings with our couples, just to see where they are with the budget and everything else. If they've won a lottery and maybe they can add on the other stuff, then we do.
Yeah.
Yes. So regular meetings with your partner, just to see where you are, would help as well.
So for somebody who is doing it themselves, how do they do that? Keeping up with what they have to record everything that they spend.
So they record everything that they spend. So if they're listening, if you can download our free checklist, we would also then offer you our budget template that you can then write everything down and then track from there as you go.
A budget that is misaligned with your vision for your wedding can really stress you. Yeah. So let's look at some of the things that can actually stress you in the wedding other than the budget itself.
So if we say you've done your budget, you now know how much you want to spend. The next thing is, do you have a date?
Okay.
For the wedding.
Yeah.
So obviously 20K, 30K for a wedding, 50K for a wedding, you're not going to set a date which is in a few weeks' time. Unless if you've got 50K lying around and you already have your vendors all lined up and stuff. So we now go into the planning itself.
Okay.
Because it's not going to be an overnight thing.
Okay.
For me, I would probably say you need at least 9 to 12 months to plan your wedding.
Okay.
So that you have exactly what you want.
All right.
And there is time. You need time to tell your guests as well so that they can prepare. If there's any guests that are flying in, you need to give them time. You need time to take time off from their work and organize childcare and stuff. So the next big thing will be
running the whole timeline. Okay.
A detailed timeline.
Okay. So one thing also that is important to note is sometimes short notice will get you the most expensive services. So I think if you plan way ahead, you can save a lot more, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get the venue that you want.
You get the venue. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So obviously you're engaged. You get engaged. Then your budget, you're telling the family and friends, you've announced your engagement, everyone is happy, you set your date. So that's 12 months, 9 to 12 months, you're setting a date, and you are booking your wedding planner. So that's where you then book your wedding planner as well, so that you have them from the beginning, so that at least they know your vision from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So your wedding planner will then help you even with searching for the venue. Right. Okay. Cool.
So the wedding planner ideally would sit down with you, and you will discuss your vision and your day. How you envision your day on that day, so that
Absolutely.
they know what vendors to match up with you. and then obviously they will then set up dates. If you don't have a wedding planner, which is absolutely fine,
Just follow the checklist. Yeah.
the checklist would definitely help.
Yeah.
You write down all your potential venues that you want to visit. This is where you set all the dates with the venues, and then you then start looking at the food option. If the venue is not providing food, you need a caterer. You start looking at that as well. You start looking at your photographers, your videographers. So every vendor that you want, this is where initially the 9th to 12th month, this is where you start speaking to them and making sure that you book them in advance, with a non-refundable deposit. Why are you laughing?
Non-refundable deposit.
Yes, to
Absolutely.
secure the service that you want.
Of course. Of course.
So at least you now have all those in place. And then obviously this is where you then go on Pinterest, and then you start
working on your mood board.
Yes.
Okay.
Always Pinterest.
Yes.
Pinterest, and it's an amazing place to start from. Literally, you could just type in pink wedding decor or something like that, or pink wedding ideas. You start getting your bridal team dresses on there, the suits, the tuxedo, everything. You just
Color schemes, everything.
everything.
Absolutely.
And then you can create your board yourself, which is what you then send out to your stylist or your venue dresser, and just let them know this is the mood board that I'm working from, or you give it to your wedding planner, and then she can start helping you from there, because that's where the ideas start coming from.
Okay. So once you've got your timeline right, then what next?
Guests.
Guests.
Yeah.
Okay.
So guests, that's from after you've done everything else. You need to know how many guests you want to invite, before you even secure the venue, because you need to know how many guests that venue takes, the maximum number of guests, and then you start sending out your invites.
Okay.
I'm believing probably you would have already sent out save the dates.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
And then you can then send out your invites with the venue that you've secured to say this is where we're getting married.
And what you expect from your guests as well.
Oh yes. Oh
The
yes.
dress codes.
Everything. And this is where our app comes in place. That's the one app that we use for RSVP. So it's brilliant in sort of like sending out invites to your guests.
Absolutely. I think that's a very stress saver, isn't it?
It's amazing for us, the planners, and for the guests as well, because every information is there. The dress code, how the weather might be looking at, like during that time, whether you're getting married in Cape Town,
Yes.
Dubai, or whatever. Accommodation.
Yeah.
We can plan accommodation for your guests. It's just one link that they need to click, and the RSVP, they tell us their dietary requirements.
Yeah, okay.
They tell us if they wanted to bring a +1 or not, or you can actually mention on there no +1. So the guest that's RSVPing cannot add another guest, which is an amazing tool for a lot of brides that I've worked with. They love it because...
Is this tool only accessible to planners or...
It's not
bride? Yeah.
Planners.
Okay.
But we can share that link with the couple, just the couple.
Okay.
So that at least they can see who's coming. They'll be able to then seat the guests, because obviously we don't know who the guests are.
How about people who are planning their own wedding and they wanted access to this? Is it something that you provide as a separate?
Yes.
Yes.
It's something that we provide separately as a separate service. But if we are planning your wedding, then it comes complimentary.
Complimentary, absolutely. So do get in touch with Taffy for an app that's just going to save your life. I've seen this thing in action where the bride and groom can go in and allocate where people are sitting. Brilliant. You just one click and you print where the whole table plan, and everything is just amazing. It's really good.
With the stylist as well. So even if it's not us who's styling, we don't have to be the ones doing everything, because people probably might be wondering, so do I have to? Are you going to force yourselves to be?
Absolutely.
We don't. You can have the planner that you want. We can match you to the right planner if we are not the right planner for you. So we can share that up with the decorate as well. They can do the floor plan on there. We can help them to do the floor plan, move the tables around, see how the room looks on paper.
Digitally. It's just amazing.
It's amazing. And then when it comes to on the day, it's literally sitting people down, just checking people in as they come through with their table numbers all on there.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. So that's another app that we can help with. So the final preparations is anytime from 1 to 6 months and 1 to 3 months. You've obviously done your dresses, your suits, you bought everything else that you need, your favors. The mother of the bride knows what they're wearing. Everyone's ready. Final information is sent out to all.
It's okay. Yeah.
Our final information or any updates is sent out to guests so that they know where they're going and where they're coming, because obviously remember you've sent out save the dates way in advance, which is like what was I?
I have no idea now.
So the final preparations include sending out final updates to guests. This is when you're also reminding them what time they need to arrive, the wedding date. Remember, you've sent out a wedding invite 9 months prior. Okay. So obviously now it's just a matter of just reminding them.
Update.
And then just updating them on the program. You don't have to put the timings on there. But obviously they need to know what time they're arriving, where they will need to be. And then you also apply for your marriage license. This is
okay.
You need to apply for your marriage license in the city that you're based. And then get yourself a marriage officer, whether they will be coming to you'll be getting married the very same day or weeks before or days before, which is what other brides do, which is absolutely fine. But you need that marriage license booked in.
So it's very important that we have a timeline and then you follow that timeline so that you won't be running like a headless chicken towards your wedding. Yes. You might not enjoy it.
No, that's you won't enjoy it because if you don't follow the timeline, by the time it comes to 2 weeks before the wedding, you're thinking, oh dear, I don't have all of these things, and then you start stressing about everything else that you would have done. If you're looking at the checklist, if you've downloaded our checklist, it helps you to just tick everything as you go. If you haven't done anything, you just move it to the next list of items that need to be done. By the time you get to your wedding, you actually have had time for self-care.
Okay.
And just relaxing. And then you will be a happy couple on your day.
Okay, so what's the next one?
This one is a big one.
Okay.
To a stress-free, because this is where the wedding is. Researching or getting your vendors or your suppliers.
Getting the right vendors.
The right vendors.
Yes, for you.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that. I like how you say it, for you.
A few years ago, somebody asked me, who is the best DJ in the African community in the UK? And my answer was simple. There is no best DJ per se. I think it's best DJ for yourself.
Right. Okay.
Depending on what you like. Because I could be a DJ who likes playing Afrobeats in a certain way, and that's not aligned to what you like. Does that mean I'm the worst DJ? No. There is somebody out there for me as a DJ. So I think finding the right vendor is about knowing who you are first, and then understanding who you're giving that task to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you recommend you do in terms of that?
You said it. Just understanding who you are as a couple, not just yourself. Obviously, if you like, I'm a piano. So we're talking of, say we're looking for a DJ, and I like Afrobeat. We have to come to a sort of like compromise, and then obviously we need to get a DJ that can actually play the type of music that we want, that can mix the type of music that we want at the same time. So knowing exactly how you want your guests to feel on the day is very important to choosing your right vendors that you're looking for. Knowing how exactly you want your room to look like, which ultimately sets the tone of the wedding, of the event itself, is very important. and just having a vision in place.
Of what you want and what you need.
Yeah, and of course the budget has to come into place as well.
So the budget kind of touches on everything that you're doing in terms of what kind of wedding you're gonna have,
Yeah.
where and when you're gonna have it,
Yeah.
yeah, what vendors you're gonna have, right? So what about if your budget is not good enough for that particular service that you need? Can you compromise on the quality of?
I would not compromise on quality, because already compromising on the quality, you're compromising on the vision of your wedding, you're compromising on everything else. This is where we talked about trade-offs. What are you willing to trade off to make sure your guests are feeling the way you want them to feel, because of the DJ that you've chosen, or because of the decor, the ambience that you've chosen? So you're now looking at the items that you can cut down in order for you to get the right supplier for you. The wedding only happens in a day. You will blink and the day is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You need to look back and think, I chose the best DJ. I chose the best wedding decor company. I chose the best photographer. You need to look back at your pictures and think, wow. Even looking at them 5 years later, they have to still make sense.
They do. They do. One thing when it comes to photography and videography that I've learned over the years is, it's as a photographer, it's not about the pictures that you produce. I think they can make out
the number of pictures that you produce.
You know, it's not about even the photography style that you do. I think it's about how you make the bride feels, or the people feel, your client feels on the day. Because what they do is they attach those feelings to the product that you gave them. I've been to weddings. When I first started, my work wasn't as good as it is now. But I've got brides from 12 years ago that will still recommend me.
That's true.
Now.
That's very true.
Simply because of how I made them feel. The pictures were not that great then, but I wasn't stressing them. I was there on the phone when they needed me. I uphold the contract and all the agreements, the timelines and everything. And they feel like, okay, I could trust this person to go and do this job. And when they look at their pictures, they're like, oh, these are nice pictures, just based on how I made them feel. Yeah. So just imagine if you get, say you get a DJ who's very good, by the way. The guests go around saying the best DJ ever, but they were rude to the bride and the groom. How do you think the bride would be feeling after that?
They won't enjoy their day.
Of course.
They won't enjoy their day.
So it's not about the service. It's not about the product. It's about the service as well. You need to tie the two.
For me, I'm even feeling stressed. I'm thinking, okay, if I'm the bride, I'm thinking, so I have to speak to the DJ, I have to speak to the supplier, I have to speak to the decorator, I have to speak to the caterer. Yes.
Not just speak. You need to meet them. You need to meet them. Okay? Because I would not shoot a wedding right now if I have not met the bride and groom. There's always that element of I'm walking into the bridal suite. The first thing in the morning, you have not met. It's going to be awkward.
But I can't imagine meeting your vendor. I can't imagine that.
But there are vendors who will do that. There are vendors who will tell you, we don't do meetings. We'll see you on your wedding day.
So how are you going to know? This is why it's important to meet your vendor before the wedding. Because you have your parents, you've got your relatives, you've got a culture that you follow, and you need your vendors to be in line with the culture. You need them to know how you run
what it is.
What it is.
And I've got a little story about that, actually. A few years ago, the bride and groom kept saying that they were too busy. They were working extra hard for the wedding. They were too busy to meet up. They were too busy to do an engagement shoot, which I actually offered for free. On the day, I walked in there and she was so uncomfortable.
She didn't know you.
She didn't know who I was. Yes. I said, oh, I'm the photographer. She said, oh, I know you from your pictures. And the whole session, we couldn't get the correct pictures. And even after the wedding, she said I didn't capture her personality.
How were you going to capture the personality when you have not met before? You haven't even had a coffee or cake with them to know their personality.
Absolutely.
Capture it.
So when it comes to to the planner. I think the planner can kind of cushion that a little bit to say, this is the right vendor, because you work with a lot of vendors, right? And you understand a lot of personalities. You can say, I think this vendor would be ideal for this bride because of whatever character traits they have. It will work.
Because they will tell you, a bride will actually tell you, I want this person to be like this, or I want my pictures to look like this, or I want my DJ to be dressed like this. Everything, each element is important. I don't know how I can stress it.
Yeah.
To how your wedding looks and makes you feel for the rest of your life. You could be ruined by what the planner walks in wearing or what your DJ is wearing. So you have the right to actually tell your planner or to tell your vendor that this is how I want you to be dressed like on the day.
Absolutely.
Because it makes you happy, which is absolutely fine. It's your day.
Absolutely, yes. I've one thing that I know I used to stand out on was, as a DJ back then, I would always make sure that I've got a tie up for my waistcoat and I'm fitting in. When I go out, I'm doing a wedding, I'm dressed for the occasion. Whereas you get some DJs with like t-shirt, jeans, trainers. We are there, we're doing it.
Yeah. That one is a big one as well. But you're absolutely right if you want your vendor to look a certain way. And if they're the right vendor for you, they will.
Of course.
Just to make your day go smooth and right. And the other thing will be, obviously we've spoken about setting up meetings, which is very, very important. Doing your research, whether it's online or you research through meeting with them before committing to anything. And then also just looking through the contract.
Looking through the contract. Yes. Those are a big one. That's a big one.
That's a big one. So you've decided you want to go with Taffy, the wedding planner is your planner. We have
terms and conditions. Yeah.
Terms and conditions that are there to protect myself and to protect you as the couple, just to make sure we have everything that you need as well. So it's very important that you look through these terms and conditions. You don't want it to be in a situation where you've agreed the venue allows you to play music up until 11. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, you do not check that through and they actually say they finish at 11, but you have booked the room till 2.
Now that you've said that, one of the big ones I could say is when COVID hits and people did not put the right things in the contract to protect themselves and to protect their clients as well. COVID hits. What does it say in the contract when it comes to some tragedy like that happening? How do you get about?
It was a tough time for a lot of brides. It was a tough time for a lot of events companies. A lot of money was lost. A lot of dates were lost. I still have some couples that still haven't gotten married because the right date that they really want, they still can't get it. Yeah. Because when the doors were now opened, I don't know if I can say doors, but when we're now back in business, when everything was cleared, everyone was quick to book. So some venues are booked till 2025, 2024. So you really can't get the venue that you want and the money back as well.
You can get the money back.
So it's very important to look at those contracts, and if you have a planner, the planner will be there to
look into those contracts and see, in case the DJ doesn't turn up and you don't have a contract.
I have a story. I have a story
for another day.
Yes, we'll do story time. Not now. We don't want to scare anybody, but yes, course. I have.
Yeah.
But, contracts are very important to look through, just so you have the right you're equipped right way, and then you get everything that you need.
Absolutely. So you've set up your budgets. Your timeline is on point. Everything is just going the way it's supposed to go. Okay. You've chosen the best for the price point that you have.
Yes.
Of the suppliers. And then we get on the day. Could something go wrong? Everything will be fine.
I always say it's an organized chaos if you have a wedding planner. Not chaos in that sense, but anything could go wrong on the wedding day.
Okay.
It could be the weather that can just change. And you really wanted your ceremony to be outside. We have envisioned it to be outside. We have not, you cannot think of it being inside. You've prayed all you can, you've touched wood all you can. And then all of a sudden, it's raining.
Think about brides who start planning their weddings from when they were 5 years old. It's going to be outside. Yeah.
You want it outside. And if it's in England, you want it outside. We know how England weather is like.
Absolutely.
It's something else. So it could be anything like that. And you need to have a wedding coordinator.
Okay.
Regardless. I don't know how many times I can stress it. You need a wedding coordinator. And the wedding coordinator has to be a professional wedding coordinator, not a friend, not a relative.
No, your relative needs to be enjoying.
Exactly.
Your friend needs to actually be present in the moment.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you need someone who's professional to coordinate your wedding. So say you've planned your own wedding, you've got your checklist that you've already done and you've written everything down. You're now handing over everything to the wedding coordinator. They need to know who's who. That includes your relatives, your parents. They need to know who, like when it comes to wedding customs.
Yeah, of course.
It's very important that they know everyone is important, but you've got your parents there.
Yeah.
You've got your siblings there. They need
different traditions and cultures.
Yes.
They need to understand those. Okay.
Definitely.
So this service, this coordinator service, is it the same as the planner service or
it's different?
It's different.
In the fact that a wedding planner is sort of like your assistant from the time you started planning the wedding. They are essentially your best friend. You would have cried together and laughed together. Essentially, you're with these people for 12 months, 9 months, 8 months. They've really gotten to know you, so they can actually fight your battles on the wedding day as well. So they can essentially be also your wedding coordinator.
Okay.
But your wedding coordinator, you only meet your wedding coordinator probably, it depends on the contract or on the contractual terms.
How they work, yeah. But you need to meet them prior to the wedding, yeah.
So some, they can meet you 2 months prior, or they can meet you weeks prior or 2 weeks or whatever. But obviously you need to meet with them just so you go through the whole timeline and the expectation, the program, and they also need to have a meeting with all your vendors as well so that they are planning from the same M shape. So that's a wedding coordinator. When your wedding coordinator has not planned the wedding with you, they're just there to execute what you
make sure everything. So I'd say the planner is, like as you said, the friend.
Yes.
And the coordinator is the legwork on the day.
Yes.
And just before the day.
Yes.
To say now that the plan is already laid down, the flowers are coming at this time. The DJ is setting up at this time. The photographer is taking these pictures in this order at this time. Wow.
Yeah. So that's what a coordinator does, and it's a lot. But you need one because as the couple yourselves, you cannot be in 100 places, and I mean it when I say it's in 100 places.
You cannot be in 2 places if you're a couple. If you're the couple of the wedding, you cannot be. You need to be present in the moment. So you need to be cushioned from whatever is happening out there.
Yeah.
Be it there's shortage of food. Could you give us some interesting stories of situations where you had to cushion the couple? I know we've had quite a lot of.
We've had a lot. This is why I keep calling it an organized chaos. But it's beautiful because your planner, like what you said, they're there to cushion you so that you can still have the best day of your life. And you can't even tell. One bride said, Zim Inspired is there, but you can't tell they're there. Of course. But they're there because everything is going smooth. But the amount of things that will be happening behind
the scene.
You know how a duck is like on water? The feet are.
But the head is just going smoothly. Yeah, yes, that's how it is. Yeah.
We're in a situation where at one wedding, they had day guests and evening guests, and then obviously the room could be expanded. We had asked the venue to use sort of like a backdrop, just to cover the other area.
Okay.
to then get the backdrop down just before the guests arrived. So obviously it's now time for the evening guests to start.
All right, yeah.
I then go to the venue, ask them, could you please take down the backdrop? We now need to expand the room. They were like, okay, but it's £300
To move it.
to move it. I looked through the contract.
There's nothing like that. Yeah.
Now we're back
And you can't do it yourself.
I can't. They will not allow us to do it ourselves because of health and safety reasons, which I absolutely understand and appreciate. But here we are. We've got guests who are yet to arrive in the next 20 minutes. We need the backdrop to be down. I can see the bride and groom. They keep looking at me. You know, when the bride is looking at you because you've been with them for so long. There's that look, you know. So she's looking at me. She's looking at the backdrop. I'm thinking I need to see what we can do here. Obviously, we can.
Is that okay? So that's not a situation where you go there. You have to solve it behind the scenes.
Solve it.
Behind the
reason why
scenes.
you're there as a coordinator is to cushion the bride and groom from all these things. You don't want a situation. It happened at my wedding. I had the venue manager coming up to us on the top table saying to us, "Oh, you now have 500 people that have actually arrived in total. So we now need £2 per chair. So we need £300." I'm thinking, I'm here. I'm trying to enjoy my wedding. You're telling me I need to pay £300.
Yeah.
If I had a wedding planner, the wedding planner would have sorted that out. Either they would have said, if you're not invited, you're not coming in.
Of course.
Because it would have mentioned on the RSVP. So
Yeah.
they would be saying to people, if you're not on the invite, you're not coming in.
Yeah, but I'm the uncle.
I don't know you. Basically, even if you're the uncle and you're not RSVP'd, so obviously you've had this planning journey and you've explained that the only people that are on the list are the ones that are coming.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, you would have the odd people that decide on the day to arrive.
Yeah.
This is where your wedding coordinator is very important. They will stop those people coming in because by them coming in,
I'll
it's an
find a better
extra charge
solution. Yeah.
on you. And I wouldn't blame a bride and a groom that would then give the wedding planner or the wedding coordinator that charge if they let that guest in.
One interesting one I remember was from the wedding where the grandfather only had this type of food. Yeah, he could only eat sadza.
Yeah.
Right. And the caterer was, they didn't have the time because they were not booked to do that. It's just one plate out of
And it's one plate. 200
guests.
It's one plate too
Yes.
many if you're a caterer.
Yeah.
It's one plate too many.
What happened at that wedding?
We got one of my coordinators to cook the salsa.
Absolutely.
So we cook the salsa because it's grandpa. He's very important. He needs to eat. It doesn't matter the caterer doesn't have time, which is understandable with whatever was the challenges that were happening in the kitchen. I was in the kitchen. There were a lot of challenges that were happening there. They didn't have the time to cook the salsa, but not uncle, grandpa needed to eat. So obviously we took the pot, the salsa and everything else, cooked the salsa, served Sekuru.
And
He was happy.
the bride and groom would never know.
They didn't know that.
Absolutely.
One of our guests have had to go into the kitchen to cook. So obviously you have to choose wisely when you choose your planner, when you choose your coordinators. They need to be skilled or skillful. Even if you have a ribbed dress. One of my brides had a ribbed dress when we doing up their zip. But because we have someone who's really good at tailoring and stuff, it was quickly mended. So all these wedding coordinators are there to help you have the best day without stressing.
Absolutely.
So you obviously need your wedding coordinator to be present at all times, and they're there with you from the start to the end. So going back to the backdrop issue, because now we know who the relatives are, the point of contact, it was just a matter of going to one of the point of contact's family members, and we told them what was happening. They were happy to pay. If they turned around and said, it's not on my budget or I haven't got the capacity to pay, as a company, we would have paid that money. And then it was just a matter of just speaking to the bride and groom during our debrief and just explaining this is what happened. And then we had to pay, here's the invoice. Because we are there to cushion the bride and groom
on the day
so that they can enjoy their day. So a lot of things could go wrong. It could be anything. It could be a DJ not turning up. It could be an MC not turning up. At one event, we had to be the MCs because at the MC did not turn. So it's
You've got to do what you've got to do, yes.
well, you choose the right planner, the right coordinator on the day, and you've seen them in action as well. We walk around with even our cameras just in case,
course.
not just in case, but we do take our own content. But if, say, we were to get to a wedding and a photographer wasn't there to capture the important bits,
Absolutely.
we would have.
No, we've had situations where the photographer didn't have enough team to cover the groom.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Then we'll just shoot and passed on the raw pictures to the photographer to edit. But yeah, things like that do happen.
Yeah, it's very important. So just know that your wedding coordinator is there to look after your guests, because your guests are very important as well. You don't want your guests to get there and then be mistreated, or they get there, they don't know what's happening because there's no one announcing anything or telling them what's happening.
I think that's the biggest cause of stress. I don't know what I'm doing. People are just loitering and they are not sure where to go, what to do.
Yeah. So just having coordinators there just to help guide your guests as soon as they arrive, just guiding them where they sit. Just sitting guests at a wedding could literally take 45 minutes.
Yeah.
For me, that's a stressful moment.
Yeah.
Apart from anything else.
Yeah.
It's getting the guests to sit where they're supposed to. Not that guests they don't know. They're having fun, which is essentially what we want them to do. So even if you have a table plan that's out there whilst they're having their cocktails and anything, I can guarantee you by the time they get to the door, they don't know. They've forgotten.
Like, I don't know. Where am I sitting? Yeah, of course.
Of course. It's a time to catch up with family. They're all looking good. So these things, we expect them. So having a coordinator will help. Someone will be there to guide them, and then someone will be at the door with our RSVP up. What's the name? Your on table number? It's right there.
Thank you.
And it's all smooth.
Absolutely. How important is it that the bride and groom takes time out for themselves?
It's very important. It's very, very important because I'm believing this is probably a week before the wedding. They've now handed over everything. They've handed over everything. The wedding planning that they've already done to the wedding coordinator. They've got nothing to do. All they'll be doing right now, as a bride, I'll be very anxious because now I don't have the power that I had. I don't have the control. This wedding planner, this wedding coordinator is now taking over everything.
Yeah.
I'm not the one communicating with the vendors anymore. She's now, or he's now the main contact, and I'm now just here. It feels like now you're in limbo and you're anxious, you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
For me, that's the best time to just take time out for yourself, pamper yourself, get your nails done. Self-care, distress. You don't want to have eye bags. You don't want to look at your pictures and then think, I did not get enough sleep. This is the time where you can actually get time to sleep because you've trusted this company, this wedding coordinator, to look after your day, and they will. Because you've trusted them, they will. Your wedding planner, you've heard her, you've heard him for the past 12 months. They will take care of your day. Just believe that your day will go smoothly, and just take care of yourself. You need to enjoy your day. You need to enjoy your guests. You need to enjoy the food that you've booked. You need to enjoy that dress. You need to feel every minute
of your wedding. Yeah.
I remember I had one bride who said to me, Taffy, yes, this is it now. Now I'm ready to dance. All the formalities are done and we're on time. I'm now ready to dance.
It should be that before the wedding. I'm now ready for the wedding to dance.
So for her, she had hired the best DJ.
Yeah.
And she knew she wanted to enjoy the DJ. So they had time to dance. She wasn't stressing about anything. Everything had gone smoothly as she thought because she had a good wedding planner and would cushion her from everything else.
Yep.
So she was in the moment. Yep. And I remember telling her that you have actually enjoyed your day. And it was an absolute pleasure to actually see her happy.
Yeah, of course.
Day.
Of course. So what do you suggest grooms could do to kind of look after themselves before the wedding as part of releasing this stress. Are grooms ever really stressed? I would imagine on my wedding, I'll be like, as long as it's done, we're done. Yeah.
For the grooms, I think there's this notion that weddings are for us women. I started planning.
Well, it's not a notion; it's a fact.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
Even my little girl, she's 7 already. She wants a princess wedding. This is what she's talking about. She wants a princess wedding. My son, he's 9. He's not talking about a wedding. He doesn't even. It's not even in his head.
Yep.
So, I think for the grooms, we want your money. That's what we want.
Don't get too drunk.
Yes.
Don't get too drunk. Yeah.
But it's your day as well, because you're marrying the love of your life. It's your beautiful day, and you're also there to enjoy it with your groomsmen. Even if you can get what do they call them? Women, we get spa treatments. Men, you can actually get spa treatments as well. You can get your nails done. Do you know that?
You could do something like something competitive, isn't it? Just before the yeah. Get the adrenaline rolling. Go out there, don't drive those go-cars. What are they called? The go-cars, and do whatever just it's a moment. I think it's time for you to just unwind and get ready for your big day. Yeah.
Because women, we also have stylists. Men, also have stylists that can help you to look the part.
To do good. Yeah.
So it's a lot of things that you can do on the day as well, and on the day of your wedding, before you walk down the aisle as well. So
say, breathe.
You need to breathe. Yes, you are.
You need to breathe. You need to breathe.
Be a husband.
Yeah.
Within the few minutes.
Right. So yeah, to wrap it up. I think it's important to place the right people for your big day.
Yes.
Do the budget. Make sure that you follow through what you would have planned from the beginning. Yes, and get the right people. Yeah.
If anything fails, get a wedding planner.
Get a wedding planner. Right. So right here, the Zim Inspired, we have not just Taffy, but we have other planners that work alongside Taffy to ensure that each and every client is looked after. So if it's something that you were not sure about and now you're thinking, I think I need a planner, do get in touch with us. It doesn't matter what stage of planning you are. You can take it on from wherever you are. If you need coordinators, yeah, that's what we do as well. Get your wedding stress free. We have DJs in the team, photographers in the team, videographers in the team. One thing I like about having one team to do these things is there's no chaos, there's no stepping on each other's foot, there's no I want the shots or whatever. It's a team just working together to make sure that the day is working well for the bride. It's not about I need the best shots, whatever. I need to look good.
We're there to make the bride and groom look good.
Of course.
Ourselves. It's their day.
Of course.
So we have to take it on as our day, and just to make sure that when the guests leave, all they talk about is Taffy's wedding was the best.
Absolutely.
Not Cosmo, the DJ. No, it's not your day.
It's the bride's group's day. Yep, absolutely.
So it's very crucial, even for vendors out there, to work hand in hand together to make sure that the wedding goes well with one vision.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Ultimate Guide to a Stress-Free Wedding. Don't forget to download the checklist below and whatever other goodies that we're going to put in there just to make your day run as smoothly as you can.
And if you want a free consultation, 15-minute free consultation, do leave us a comment, and I will be the one personally to give you a call just to give you that consultation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.